couple seconds so I can edit
Right.
it. But it is recording now.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast here. Here with Coach Tyler Shipstad, and we have Ethan Osburn on the Zoom call today. He played for the Colorado Rampage from 2014 to 2017, U16, 1 year U16 and 2 years at U18. Junior hockey up in Canada, 3 different teams over 2 years. Then committed to play for UMass Boston, just finished his freshman year. And is now back in Colorado. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So obviously being an Arizona-born player, can you just talk about that and then tell us kind of what the process was of you coming to the Colorado Rampage?
So I started out playing actually up in Flagstaff. Originally started playing inline hockey. Just got an invitation from a friend saying, hey, come try inline, and fell in love with it instantly. I was playing baseball and soccer as well, but made the transition to that. And once I, knew that I was going to be committed to playing this, I went up to Flagstaff to play, I believe it was Bantam B at the time. And so originally I was a forward up there, finished that season, and, my coach was telling me, hey, you could do something more than just Bantam B with this. So I went down to Phoenix and played AAA with the Arizona Bobcats. I believe it was about 3 years with them. And then in transition from U14, U15 to U16, I went over to Junior Coyotes just because I thought it was a better exposure, Tier 1 Elite League. I just thought that was a better place for me. Ended up playing U15 over there, and then tried out for U16 there again. Originally got cut, and so coach that I was close with in Junior Coyotes had said, hey, I know a coach, Pat Bingham, up in Colorado. I know he has a really good team, and you should go up there and try out for them. So, my taking into consideration, talking with my dad, I realized I had to either move up to Colorado, go to Dallas, or I needed to go over to California. And so, we made the choice that Rampage was going to be my shot. And, my dad didn't tell me at the time, but he told me after the fact. He's like, I talked to Pat, and there was only one spot for a defenseman open on that team. So I went out there and put out my all to really put everything out there that I had, and ended up making the team. And, I was extremely grateful for that opportunity because, I was put in a place with the Rampage that I had every development opportunity that I needed to in order to grow and pursue my dream of playing D3 college hockey. Originally, obviously everybody's dream is D1. So, making the transition to come up to Colorado, it was fantastic and was the best thing for my development.
Yeah, I mean, a good little piece to add on to. I mean, everybody has, aspirations of going D1 and playing NCAA D1, and I was one of those guys. And what people don't realize is how good D3 hockey really is, and what that compete level, and how many guys still play pro, are still playing today. And the fact that you even go to juniors, you've already beat 95 or more % of players in the country just getting to that point.
Yeah.
So that being said, you just finished your first year. What do you think? What was the biggest differences from junior hockey? What was this year kind of like for you?
I mean, physically being a bigger guy, it was definitely, you're going up against guys that are the same size, if not bigger. I'm 205, but some guys are 215, 225.
You're playing with men. The seniors are men. They are,
24-year-old seniors, like some of them are 25, and you're hitting bowling balls when you're out there. So it's definitely a jump. You have to be mentally and physically prepared for it. Coming back over the summers and training with, Bo Hansen, Sean Giles, Cam Strong, those guys were in it, and that helped me to prepare for that because, those guys are ultimately where I wanted to be. And so I needed to make sure that I was competing at that level to be successful in D3 hockey, because it's not this, oh, it's D3, it's not as good, because it is that good. We play in the NEHC. We played against Norwich, and Norwich this year was the #1 team in the nation. And it was a battle when you went in there. Like, you had to be sprinting to every single puck battle, every single corner. Like, you're going against actual men. And it's not just, oh, it's D3 hockey. So you have to be prepared for it.
Yeah, it's tough for sure. Now I want to tag this on to the same thing. I want to go backward a little bit. Explain your junior career a little bit. So you played in Canada, right?
Yeah.
So explain, it's really tough for an American to go up to Canada and get into that. And can you kind of explain that junior experience?
Yeah. And before I go into that a little bit, I think it's really important for me to stress that taking my second year of 18s was critical for me. In some self-reflection, looking back after my first year of 18s, looking back, know that I was not ready for juniors at that point. I was able to go up to the CCHL and play with Navin and be, that top 2 defenseman with them, even though I was a defensive guy. I was able to go up there and really perform because I took that extra year and really developed and listened to, Luke Foldrum, Coach Sherman, Coach Pat, really taking that time to develop and assess what I can do better. Making that jump was really important for me because, like you said, making the jump up to juniors in Canada is not easy. And as an American player, you can only have so many guys that are, outside of Canada. So you have to go in there with a little extra grit and make sure that, your spot is saved, because it's not guaranteed. And, I got shipped around for, whatever the reason was at the time. I just made sure that whatever I was doing, I was making sure that I could be the best player that I could be. It's hard not to compare to other guys, but ultimately you do. And I wanted to be not only the best player I could be, but better than the guy next to me, and ultimately shine out in front of them to get that NCAA scholarship.
Mm-hmm. It's good that you bring that up too. It's what a lot of guys don't realize, or they try to, we brought it up a couple times. I know Giles touched on it, Cam Strong touched on it too. It's, everybody's kind of worried, and it was me as a player too. I found that where you find yourself comparing yourself to their, look where this guy's going, or what's this guy doing, or where's he at? Like, it's good to stay in your own process, stick with it, and obviously don't go chasing juniors. It's gonna happen at the right time for you, when you're ready. And those guys that wait and they push through and stick with the process. I talked to Sherm a little bit about you before this too, and he said that was you. You're a process guy. He'd take you on any team he was coaching. He loved you as a player and as a person, and that's a huge testament to you being committed to it and not chasing it, and obviously developing your full year. So guys need to realize when they get to that second year 18, use it. It's a really good place to develop and make sure you're completely ready for junior hockey.
Yeah. And I think another important piece to add on was, I was looking at other guys, they're going to NA teams, they're tendering, they're going to the USHL, they're getting drafted. I never got that. I was never drafted. You show NA, doesn't matter. And I went to camps, and for one reason or another, it didn't work out. And so, I was blessed to be connected and, find a spot up in Canada. And you just have to take what you're given and work hard to get that opportunity. And so I think that's another key part that, guys should realize, is that, your path isn't going to look like other guys' paths. especially going through my junior career process. It was, I was looking at that D1 level, and, I knew I could play there, and I knew I could develop to that. And for whatever reason or another, I'm playing D3. But, at the end of the day, I think that I gave and still continue to give every single, ounce of energy in my body to be the best that I can be at the level that I'm at. And so I think that's really important that guys should realize that.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously you chose UMass Boston for hockey, but also too, I'm sure that academics played a big part in. I know what type of student you were here as a Rampage player, and then you obviously took the little break, the hiatus from the schooling. So what do you have a major, and if you do, what is it? And then why did you pick that major if you have one?
So I chose to be a bio major. I bounced around between, do I want to go to med school? And for a long time, that was my goal. I want to go be a doctor. My dad's a doctor, so that's who I looked up to, and that's what I really was gravitated towards in school. So that's the path I took. And now I'm looking at going PA because of just the specifics within it. I just like more than going to med school. So, bio for me was something that I always was, gravitated towards. So yeah.
How were your grades?
When I graduated high school, I had a 3.94. So,
nice.
I graduated with a good GPA. I'm not a good standardized test guy. I was average when it came to the SAT and ACT. So I really, I really based off of my work ethic when it came to schooling and grades. I put in, hours upon hours of, I need to study and make sure my GPA is good, because I know that, in standardized tests, I'm not the greatest. And so, I'm gonna double down on what I'm good at, and then that will, shine out who I truly am.
Yeah, and that touches on another good point of having good grades and being a good student through this, because we talked about it the D1 level too. It's if they have the same exact player, there's two guys, they're exactly the same, they're going to choose the guy who's got the better grades and the other piece, because it opens up other money for other people. Now in D3, what a lot of kids don't know is the same thing, where all these schools that are D3, for the majority of them, they're smaller, they're private, they're very elite in the academics. So if you're not going to make that D1 jump and you decide to go D3, you better be a good student, because you're not going to even make it in those schools, and you're not going to get any chance at playing college hockey. So even having your grades up is a must to go play NCAA anywhere, right? So that's a huge lesson you can give these players right now, is make sure your grades are in order. And that just opens the possibility of more places you could go to and be available. And obviously coaches are going to want those guys that are, they work hard like you and they got really good grades.
Yeah. Well, and at the D3 level, you don't get athletic scholarships. It's all academic. So, for the same reason, Bo, all those guys really stressed on, grades for, allowing them to give athletic money to other guys. It's, if you do go D3, all the money that you get is all based on your academics. And so that becomes a really strong point in, if a coach is scouting you and comes to you and says, throughout my whole process of talking to coaches, it was the first question was, how are your grades? What's your GPA? What are your test scores? So that's one thing that they really stress. And, when it came time for me to commit and looking at financials, my GPA played a big part in that, because, that dictated, how much am I going to have to pay here? How much am I going to have to pay here? What's the situation? And so, I was, through my hard work and dedication to academics, I was able to get a lot of money. So you really have to, whether you're, obviously everybody's goal is D1, but, both avenues, you have to be strict on, your study habits.
Mm-hmm. So going off that a little bit, it's I'll have to take this question from Coach John, even though he's the strength and conditioning guy, right? But
Yeah.
how important is the off ice training for you, especially at this point in your career? What how can you kind of explain that to everybody?
It's a major piece. Like I talked about with going up against bigger guys, you have to be strong, and you have to be stable on your feet at all times. And so, throughout my whole career leading up to this, it's a big thing for me is I always stress, my training, because, I saw older guys and, they had this, that, and the other thing going wrong with their body. And so I really wanted to, make sure that my body was going to last and, be able to perform at the top level. And, obviously being a bigger guy, my game was, I gotta win every single puck battle in the corner. I gotta be able to push guys out front. I gotta lay the big hits when it counts. And so that really played into, I need to be my strongest and best self in the gym. And so, you don't want to compare yourself to other guys, but when I go in the gym, I always want to be the guy that's lifting the most weight. I always want to be, pushing myself, but also pushing other guys. And you have to do that to a certain extent, because you don't want to hurt your body by doing the wrong form, obviously. But, always going my hardest and my best in the gym was a big, important piece in developing into the player that I am today and continue to develop into. So that's a major portion.
Mm-hmm. And I love that you bring that up about like puck battles too. I mean, we talk about that with a lot of kids who are frustrated with maybe in the middle of a season where they're losing a lot of one-on-one battles, and that's a lot of the game. How can you play one-on-one and against the guy standing right across from you? And how many of those battles can you come out positive and be and gain puck possession? But that all happens in the off season, and what you're doing in the gym and things like that is where you're gaining all that. So I'm really glad you brought that up. It's a huge piece. And kids will see gains at 14, 15, even getting at it young, and just making sure, they're not bulking up at a young age, but they're becoming really strong. And that's a great point that you bring across. So how often you're coming back to Monument and you train with that spring and summer group a lot? How long have you been doing that, and how important is that to you?
I've been doing that ever since, I came to the Rampage in, what was it, 2016 or something? I don't know, 2014. That summer after U16, my goal was I wanted to be on the 48 club. I wanted to have my name up there. I wanted to be that guy. And, coming in at 16, I was, scrawny little guy. So, sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
It's all good. All about getting stronger, being a part of that group, and especially what we are trying to push through and obviously bring up to our group is how many guys do come back. And it means a lot that you come back and train, because you're not only with those all the guys in the junior pro camp, but you're also coming out to some 18 skates and helping those guys develop. And that's a major piece of it too. We love seeing you guys come back, and I think it speaks a lot to the program that you do choose to come back and be a part of it.
Well, you look at what the Rampage offers. You have Coach John and the gym right there in the rink. A lot of other places don't have that. That's something that's huge. That's a huge thing to be grateful for. 2 slabs of ice. Most other places you only get one. And so all the coaches and staff that are there to assist you and help you through all that, you can't get that anywhere else. And especially another thing that guys, maybe glaze over is, being at altitude is a huge factor. I could go back to Arizona where my family's from. I I could go train down in Phoenix and, whatnot, but it's not the same because you don't have the support system. You don't have all the facilities in place. You don't have those coaches and those people there that are pushing you to, push that boundary and get to that next level. So, coming back, it's not even an option. I don't think about, okay, where am I going to go this summer? I know every single time I'm coming back to Colorado, I'm training at altitude. I have the gym, 365 days a year, 24/7. Coach John is going to be there. Having all those guys and, Coach Pat and Coach Sherman, Coach Fulgham, all those support systems and availability to get better, you're not going to get anywhere else. And the question is, are you going to take advantage of it? And so that's why I come back every year, because it's not only does the program develop you to get to your next level, but they also support you in the level that you're at and then further you.
I think Coach John lives in the rink, so I don't know if I've ever seen him go home. So he's always there. That's the best asset we have.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, this break is made me be at home a little bit more than usual, but yes, I like to be here a lot. I think that may be a slight understatement. So
humble brag.
Kind of building off that, looking a little bit ahead past the summer, back going into next year. What type of goals you have for yourself in the classroom and obviously on the ice? So kind of touch on what, if you've thought of that a little bit, or if it's off the top of your head right now, what type of things are you looking forward to trying to achieve this coming school year and hockey season?
Yeah. I mean, it was a goal of mine before I even went into college that, I wanted to maintain a 4.0. And that was something that I really stressed in myself. Yes, my parents, expect that of me, but I also expected of myself. And so that was something that going into, my freshman year was a huge key for me. But also, obviously moving forward in sophomore, junior, senior year, that's become something that's, I can't, dial back on that. That's where the bar's set. And if I don't achieve it, then I've failed. And that's something just personal for me. Even when things get hard and you come up on some adversity, you have to rise to that challenge and, still try and hit that bar that you set, even though, you're meeting something that's making it a little more challenging. So, heading into next year, junior year, senior year, 4.0 is, that's, I can't dial back from that. Obviously on the ice, going in, I wanted to be a cornerstone, piece of the defensive core. We lost 6 guys. And so, we're coming in and, there's all these freshmen that we're all going to have an opportunity to make a name for ourselves. We're all going to have a chance to play. But I wanted to really set myself apart and really put myself in that, top tier of the lineup that I'm not going to be taken out because, like I said, you're competing not only against the other guys on the team, but you're competing against your own team and, your brothers, and you love each other and you want each other to succeed. But at the same time, I don't want to be scratched. I don't want to be sitting outside the glass and watching you guys play. It's not fun for me. That's not what I came here for. So, for me is just to continue being a cornerstone in that D lineup and, be the hardest competing, toughest battling, when, like Coach Pat says, when 80% of your battles make 80% of your plays. And that's always been something that I've really focused on ever since, he instilled that in me. And, I've written that down on, going into college, I wrote down a plan, I guess a life plan for freshman through senior year, and then also, the next 5 years after that. And so that was something I split it up academically and hockey-wise, and I set goals of this is what I want to achieve academically, this is what I want to achieve hockey-wise. And, just like a 4.0, those are the bars you set. And, you know, that's what you work towards every single day. You're giving every ounce of effort to reach those goals. And so, you know, moving forward, I look at all those goals that I wrote down at the beginning, and those are the bars. And, you know, obviously as you get and move towards them, if you need to adjust them and raise them, that's really important, is that you keep pushing yourself. If you get to that level, you keep pushing yourself. But in my book, there's no reason for me to drop that bar. That bar is always going to be set where it is, because you're not going to grow unless you're challenging yourself and you're trying to become better.
No, that's a really good answer. And especially getting that into the mindset of our younger players early is all the goal setting and you know, it's kind of like the map. Like if you just get in the car and drive, you don't know where you're going, right? Or like it's good to have that plan laid out in front of you, know what your targets are, know where you're going to hit, and obviously push yourself and challenge. Don't feel upset if you don't make it or don't hit one. Like, yeah, that should fuel you for the next one. Keep going, keep trying to attain. So I'm really glad you brought up the goal setting part of that. I guess another little side one I want to jump off of, we've had a few defensemen on already, but especially now at the level you're playing at, what do you see, or I guess what are you trying to improve in your game, and you think that all defensemen, maybe back through 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, what things should they be adding to their game now to make themselves better?
Yeah, I mean, personally for me, you know, being a bigger guy, my foot speed and my quick feet has always been something that I've, you know, tried to work on and tried to assess, you know, because yeah, you can be a big guy, but you know, with how fast the game's getting, even at the D3 level, you know, you still got to be able to move the puck. So another thing building off of that is, you know, being able to handle the puck. That's been a huge thing for me throughout my whole career, and continues to be, is, you know, I'm always trying to work on, you know, handling the puck. And it's not overhandling and having, you know, these sick hands, because, you know, as a player, I realize that that's not my game. I'm a defensive defenseman. I got to get my feet back. I got to get the puck up ice, and I got to move it fast. And, you know, building off of that, you know, foot speed and handling the puck, it's having your head up and a lot of the mental side. Because physically, you know, yes, I have some things I need to work on, but I know that my strengths in being a bigger guy and being a physical guy, you know, that's not necessarily where I need to divide all my attention. For me, it's a lot more mental. And so, you know, really taking that time during practice, you know, you're just skating around, shooting pucks and stuff. Really taking the time to, you know, cradle and handle the puck, make sure you're looking up and you're watching other guys as they're skating around the ice, and really working on, okay, you know, I'm curling the puck and then I'm going to my backhand, you know, it really realizing that, you know, the game moves so fast that once you have to realize, if you get the puck from somebody, you know, cross ice, you got to be knowing where you're going to put it right before it's on your stick. And for me, that's always been something that I really have to focus on, is my mental side, along with, you know, my foot speed and handling the puck.
Yeah, for sure. Any defense watching, rewind that back a couple of minutes, replay that. That's all really, really good advice, and something we have to deal with, guys, a lot. And obviously the game is only getting faster, and it's, especially when you go level to level to level, and you know how it is, the speed that jumps from 18 to junior, from junior to college, it's crazy. So defensemen have a lot on their plate to get to pucks quickly, know what they're going to do with it before, not overhandling, but making sure it's on the tape and making sure it's, I know a lot of the analytics are focused on, especially for defensemen like that, is what's your completed pass rate and getting out of the zone. And obviously if you're throwing crazy grenades up the wall, your wingers aren't going to be handling, and you're coming right back, and just more pressure coming right at you all the time. So that's a huge piece of advice. Defense, rewind that back, listen to that again. Coach John, you have any more questions?
No, I just want to thank Ethan for his time. Obviously, we would love to have him in the gym and on the ice right now training with us. But, you know, it's just the time we're in. So hopefully soon we get to see him down here soon, training, lifting all the weights in the gym. But yeah, I mean, I just thank you for your time. Obviously, still going through classes, still trying to stay busy, still got other stuff going on. So just taking the time out of your day, in the middle of your day, to talk with us and share some of your experiences. Really appreciate that.
Of course, I'd love to give back, and especially to a program that, you know, got me to the place that I am today. It's an honor, and I'm grateful to be able to, you know, impart some wisdom back to, you know, the younger guys coming up through it, and, you know, just realize that, you know, the opportunity that you have, and be grateful for it. And, you know, as long as you give your all in it, there's nothing else you can say is, you know, I gave it my all, and, you know, this is the outcome that I had. You know, you can be happy with the outcome when you've given it everything you've got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we really appreciate you, and obviously you got a really bright future ahead of you with school, and obviously you stay on the same pace. You got an awesome shot at pro hockey too, and or a great career in your major and sticking with all that. So no, we really appreciate it. We're very grateful to have you on, and a lot of good lessons for our players to kind of absorb and take in. So thanks again.
You're welcome.
Well, awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in. Keep looking forward. Keep following us on Instagram, Facebook. You'll see Ethan around the rink this summer when we reopen. Feel free to pull him aside, ask him some questions. I'm sure he'd love to impart all that wisdom on you and help out. So thanks again, guys, for joining. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys.